bit of a different venue today. I am streaming live from my dining room table because I'm at home. I am at home for a couple more, maybe an hour, and then I'm heading through to San Francisco. It is July 16th, and I am heading to San Francisco, just over the bridge, to attend Gusto Next conference. So I apologize. I'm sure the quality of sound quality is not going to be great because I'm, streaming this through my laptop. It's probably gonna be a little bit quiet, so push up that sound button, get a little louder. But I'm here to share some information. We can work with the Gusto Next pots. Did mention it. I am excited to head out to San Francisco. Gusto is our preferred payroll partner, and they have an annual conference, a really good get together, a lot of great education, and more importantly, to hear about where they're going as a company, changes coming their way, and how it'll improve our lives as accountant, as well as small businesses that use their system. I find it to be an extremely insightful conference, a lot of value for a very short amount of time, and it's close. You know, I I'm going to be able to head away for 30, 60 hours, only one night away from home. I'm not going to be there for the full conference, and the main reason for that is on Thursday, which is July 18th, the Protea team will be heading out to the Redwood Empire Food Bank. It is Mandela Day, and we'll be giving back to our community by sharing some time there, packing some food for the food bank so that help them to be sure that they have the supplies for those people that need it. So just a really busy week between Gusto Next, today and tomorrow, community outreach project on Thursday, and then on Friday I have a provisor meeting, which is a combined meeting, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then I'm heading out to Redwood Credit Union. They have a CFO CEO get together conference, I guess is probably a big word to say, but they're getting together a few people in the wine industry, business owners, to figure out what do their clients really need. And I'm very proud to have been invited to that. So all in all, an extremely busy week at Protea, an extremely busy week for myself, and that'll be on the back of next week. I'm off. I'll be on vacation for 4 days. We are going camping. Not my favorite thing in the world, but I'll make the best of it. Importantly, I'll get some time outside, some time with friends, and more importantly, time with my family. So that will be fun. Just hanging out, enjoying some alcohol, adult beverages, spending time with the kids, being out in nature, hopefully some hiking, some bike riding, all those cool things. So pretty excited for that. A lot going on in the world of Zane in the next 2 weeks, but I needed to talk to you guys. It is episode 32, and today I want to talk about communication. If you've been around my LinkedIn for a while, you know that I consistently bring up communication. And I have been asked the question, why do you put so much emphasis on communication? And it really is very simple. Communication is critical in the process of being an accountant. One thing that they don't tell you when you get into accounting is that you're actually going to have to talk to a lot of people. A lot of the times I thought, this is great. I'll become an accountant. I'll be in my own room, working in front of my computer, never have to interact with people. That is a fallacy. To be a good accountant, you actually need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to get in front of people and talk to them, ask them the right questions, listen carefully, and respond appropriately. You cannot do your job as an accountant if you cannot communicate effectively and efficiently. Now, I'm no expert. A lot of the time, communication is my work in progress. It's on my goal list every single month, work on your communication. But I'm probably better than most people think, though I do know my biggest downfall is assuming my team know what I'm talking about. And a lot of the time, my brain works faster than my typing or faster than my mouth. So I jump from one idea to the next idea, thinking I've already said what's happening in between, but I forget that I actually haven't said the words. If you ask my wife, this is a big problem in our personal life. I assume I told her something, a lot of the time I did not. The weakness in my communication is that I have conversations in my own head, and don't necessarily fill in the gaps for other people. So, what I have to work on is making sure that I over communicate, even if it means I'm saying the same thing over again, because that ensures that I actually have said it and hopefully the person has heard it. But I do understand that communication is important for accountants, for business owners, for people in general. Life is a lot easier if we just focus in on communicating better. When I'm talking about communication, I'm now sharing more of my messages on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I primarily share my social media, and I brought it up that I'm going to be talking about communication again. And specifically, the next 8 weeks, I am going to be sharing the 8 key points that I have in terms of communication. And I lay those out as having clarity of purpose, know your audience, be concise, consistency is key, listen actively, remember that people remember stories and examples, be empathetic, and the last point might be the most important one for everybody out there, even if those people think my communication is great, practice makes perfect. And it really is important. We consistently have to work on our communication. We need to be mindful of our communication and understand that our communication style will most likely have to change from person to person that we are talking to. I cannot explain an accounting concept the same way to a qualified technical accountant that I do to my client who has no financial background. We have to talk a different language and make sure we're talking at a level that they understand. So we have to consistently work on improving our communication so that we're able to communicate with different people in different circumstances. And the only way to stay good communicators is to consistently work on your communication. Communication is not just a skill that you can add to your resume. It is a consistent work in progress that we should all have on our list of what can I get better at today? Communication. We constantly have to work on communication. So if you are interested in learning more about communication, head over to my LinkedIn page, give me a follow or connect with me, and follow along. Every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Pacific, I will release a post, specifically the next 8 weeks, where I'll share my thoughts and insights on these 8 points. But I do want to take a little bit of time today to just give you a sneak peek into what each one of them are so that you can take these 8 points away and start working on them as soon as today. So number one that I mentioned was having clarity of purpose. Now, this is really important because a lot of the time we walk into conversation going, I'm not really sure what I want this outcome to be. But it is important when you go into conversations to understand what is the objective of communicating with this person. Why am I going into this conversation? And that's going to vary between calls. Sometimes it's very easy where you're having a specific topic call with a client about something in their financials. Super easy, right? Sometimes it's a little harder, like you're just having a general catch-up with a team member. So you need to figure out, are you going into this call to inform, persuade, seek information, or provide feedback? You need to understand what you're going into that call for, or what that conversation's about, or why you're sending that email, because having a clear purpose allows you to stay focused on the key points and make sure your message is effective. Having clarity of purpose is why it's important to go into big formal meetings with an agenda. It helps to keep you on the main point. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be listening for other opportunities to gather other information or share other advice, but going in with clarity of purpose simplifies your communication because you understand what you're seeking. Number two, know your audience. This is one where professionals really do seem to struggle. Even some of the best professionals out there, they forget who they're talking to. You need to understand who you're communicating with and how to tailor your message to their needs, level of understanding, and interests. You need to make sure that they actually are going to be able to understand what you are talking about. I see it way too often where accountants send emails and you go, I'm another accountant and I barely understand what you're saying because you're using so much technical jargon. Do you really think that's going to help anybody in this circumstance? And do you think that your client is going to understand it? It is not useful. Understand your audience and tailor your message to that audience. It makes a big difference if you're talking the same language and in understandable terms so that the person feels heard and that they feel like they're not being spoken down to, and that if they ask a question, you're not going to think it's a stupid question. So take time to understand who you're talking to. I think one of the most important points that come up is be concise. I like to say be clear, be concise. Keep your communication clear and to the point. Again, avoid using jargon. Even if you're talking to other accountants, just drop it. What are you trying to prove by using big fancy words? It just feels like you're like trying to flex in front of people, and that gets people's backs up. So what's the point? Use a bunch of big words, nobody's actually paying attention because they think like, oh my gosh, look at this person trying to think they're the smartest person in the room. That's not helpful at all. And definitely stay away from long-winded explanations. I tell my team this all the time. If you send me a long email with a bunch of long paragraphs in it, I'm probably shutting down in 5 seconds. I am not going to understand what you're asking me, what's important. Being, being concise really helps me concentrate in and understand what are you looking for. One of the best ways to do this is start with the problem. I don't know X, and then go into the detail. You can have those long-winded explanations, but start with the problem so people know what you're asking and what you're trying to solve or what the solution is. Make sure people know what you're talking about by remaining clear and concise. Another way to make this easy in an email standpoint is using bullet points. Bullet points are much easier for the human mind to comprehend than long paragraphs. Stay clear, stay concise. It will make a difference. Number 4 is one of my favorite. Consistency is key. Keep your messages clear and concise. Keep your messages in the same voice. Make sure you're saying the same thing to person A that you're saying to person B if it's the same question. Staying consistent builds trust and credibility. It's important to stay consistent, especially in a team environment, because everybody feels like they've been treated equally. They feel like they've been heard, and there's no confusion on what the expectations are. Consistency makes a big difference. And I would take consistency even further and saying that your response times should be consistent as well. At Protea, we use a 24-hour rule. Stick to the 24-hour rule, and people won't be following up within 30 seconds going, did you get my email? If they know that they're going to get a response and that you respond timelessly every single time, that consistency builds trust, and they are not left guessing. Be consistent. It builds trust. Consistency is key. Number 5 is a big one. Listen actively. You know how the saying goes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk. It's important. Make sure that you're listening to understand and not listening to respond. If you're listening to respond, you're most likely have created your answer before the question is even completed. There is nothing worse than somebody responding to you and it is clear that they didn't hear or understand or care about your question. The biggest way to break trust is not listen and answer with an incorrect answer because you just were not paying attention. Make sure you're listening to the people, you're being attentive, make sure you understand their message. If you're not quite clear, ask them, then take time to respond thoughtfully and take into account what they said. Listening carefully shows respect and it helps build relationships. Number 6 is really, really important, and I do struggle with it, but people really do remember stories and examples better than just somebody preaching to them with ideas. Stories help paint a picture, and people are more likely to remember stories than they are to just remember you spieling off something. I was on a sales call this morning and I shared examples of what we do for other clients rather than just saying, yes, we can do that. There's not a lot that people can do with, yes, I can do that. But if I provide examples on where we've used that system, how we had to report and how we had to respond, that helps that person go, yes, I trust what they're saying. And if you don't believe me that people remember stories and examples, think of your favorite people that you follow on social media. My guess is they tell some really great stories that are memorable and makes you think a little bit. So I would consider looking at those examples to see how stories make a difference. Number 7, can we just spread this one to the whole world? Not just in communication, but just general day-to-day interactions. Let's be more empathetic. Number 7 is be empathetic. Show empathy by understanding and acknowledging feelings of others and their perspectives. People want to be heard. They want to know that you care. I know this sounds a little woke, but empathy goes a long way. Even with the coldest, darkest hearts, kindness makes a difference. Be empathetic to your clients when they don't understand. Be empathetic to your clients when they're struggling. Be empathetic to your team where they're just confused. Be empathetic where they've got too much going on in their work life or personal life and are struggling. Showing empathy makes a difference. It builds trust, and you will see a difference in your communication if you're empathetic. Number 8, we spoke about practice, 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 practice. It is always on my goals. Be a better communicator. I talk about it consistently on social media because it reminds me to be better. Seek feedback from others, talk to others, learn some more, read, listen to podcasts, do something, but look to improve your communication all the time. That could be listening, speaking, writing, reading. Take time to do it. Try get better. And if you are still struggling, there are tools out there. I use Grammarly on a daily basis because it helps me write better, clearer sentences. It fixes my spelling mistakes. I know I'm not perfect. I know what it takes to be a good communicator, but I know I need to work on it on a daily basis. Continue to practice. Put communication up there as an incredibly important goal. If I want to be successful, I need to be a great communicator. Number 8 is practice makes perfect. Consistently work on your communication. If you want to be a better person, you want to be a better professional, and 100% if you want to be a better accountant, work on your communication. And I lay out 8 points that I think will make a big difference in your communication journey. Number 1, have clarity of purpose. Number 2, know your audience. Number 3, be concise. Number 4, Consistency is key. Number 5, listen actively. Number 7, people remember stories and examples. Number 7, be empathetic. Number 8, practice makes perfect. Communication is critical to your success as an accountant. Make sure you're working on it. You want to be better at life? Learn to communicate effectively and efficiently. It will make a difference. That's it on communication for this week. Follow along on LinkedIn. I have plenty to share. But also know, I'm off to Gusto next. Gonna have a good time today and tomorrow learning, especially about one of my favorite payroll providers. Thursday, we're off to help the community for Nelson Mandela Day. Friday provides a meeting as well as a CFO accountant conference where I get to share a little bit for the local community. I have a busy week. I'm hoping that it'll be a productive week. I feel that it's going to be a good week. I hope you're feeling the same way. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Until next week, have a good one. Be kind. Goodbye.